We acknowledge that the Burbs podcast is taking place on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Coquitlam First Nation. We thank the Coquitlam who continue to live on these lands and care for them, along with the waters and all that is above and below. Welcome back to the podcast. On today's episode, we have Sarah. And we are in Sarah's living room right now.
Welcome to my humble abode.
It's beautiful. We have our little coffee and tea. Mm-hmm. It's an overcast day, very Coquitlam.
Yeah, it was pretty horrible out earlier.
Yeah, it's okay now.
Yeah, it's not too bad now.
Could you tell us why you chose this space?
So when I came to Coquitlam in 2011, we'd been previously living in Burnaby and actually the United Kingdom as well. And this was our first house that we owned. So previously I'd just been in like rental suites, or like those, I don't know what to call it. It was like an apartment and it was kind of already pre-set up for us. Like there was...
Like furnished?
Yeah, it was furnished. Okay. It was a furnished apartment. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Oh yeah, so this was the first place that like I was able to like decorate, and I chose my room color, and I
How old were you?
I was 11. Yeah. Okay. So 2011, I was 11 years old. And I got like my first cat around the same time too. Who's Jupiter. He's still with me, thankfully. So yeah, it was just like everything. This was like the first place where like I guess I felt settled as a human, maybe, because I'd left. So I was born in the United States, and we left when I was 5, and then we were in the UK temporarily for a couple years while we waited for the Canadian residency to process to start.
Was that always the plan?
Yeah.
Canada?
Yeah. But so my mom actually had it was a social work opportunity, and we wanted to do some traveling. So we were like, why not leave the States early and do that for a couple of years while we kind of wait on Canada.
I guess then like how was middle school for you, or like maybe not middle school, but like your preteen years, having moved around so much, you're finally settling down and like you're a teen, and
it took a little bit. It took a little bit, and I was also like, I think I was a late bloomer in terms of insecurity, actually. So I think I was probably doing a little bit better than some of the other middle school girls for a bit. Same. Yeah, because I only really started to like I thought I was the best. I thought I was so cool. Like I just didn't have.
I felt that from you.
Yeah. Well, this is
okay. Maybe I wasn't as late.
No, a little bit of high school too, and then at some point, I did not feel that anymore, and I think it just hit a little bit late. So early middle school, I struggled. I was kind of awkward and nerdy, I guess, and especially for girls at that age. So having done a little bit of research into childhood and similar, there's this thing called the 5th grade slump. And it's like a psychological thing that happens to kids, and it's when kids become aware that other people are perceiving them and they get insecure. So it's like a little bit of like that wildness from being a kid goes away a little bit, because you start to worry about what other people think of you. And I think girls actually have a second version of that in middle school, and it's from other girls. It's not from other kids necessarily like the first one is. It's specifically from other girls. And like I think I went through it a little bit personally. I've seen other people go through it. And it's really sad. It's like they kind of lose some of that like wildness a little bit.
Or sparkle. Yeah,
a little bit of the sparkle. And like learn how to, I guess, like kind of conform more to what is expected. And it's like, like less like being a tomboy or liking boy stuff or all that kind of. So yeah, I struggled. It was mostly grade 6 and grade 7, I want to say. And then actually by grade 8, I kind of like found people who were nerdy in the same way I was. And we like had a little friend group, and it was really nice. And unfortunately, we all went to different high schools after, because it's what happens. It never lasts. Yeah, no, I'm actually thinking on it. Like I had this very best friend in middle school who was such a weirdo, and we loved the same music, and like so goofy, and we went opposite directions in high school. Like, I kind of stayed weird and goofy and just found a way for myself to, like, be more comfortable in that, in a way that is also comfortable for other people, if that makes sense. And she stopped doing weird. I know. She became a normie. And, like, she's, like, just started buying a bunch of makeup and posting and, like, being more obsessed with, like, her boyfriend. And, yeah, shit. It was a little sad. It was a little sad for me. I was like, cause, yeah, she was so cool. She was, like, so fun. And, yeah, it felt like a loss a little bit, you know?
What was that like for you? Like, was that conscious to maintain your weirdness?
No, I think I've always been a little bit I don't think I could really exist another way. And, like, I guess, like, by I say weirdness, like, I've always just been kind of, like, happy and goofy and like been okay with being happy and goofy. And no, I don't think that was a conscious decision. I think at some point I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be that friend. And I think that kind of became a decision at some point, but I think it was I was always heading in that direction anyway. Like, it was just kind of an acceptance, not really like a step up, I guess. Yeah, it was just learning how to, like, be comfortable with it. And then also, as you transition into, like, the adult world, you realize that those are the cool people. Like, the people who are passionate and the people who are nerdy and like learning stuff. Like, those are the people who are actually the people that are cool, that I want to continue to be friends with. And I think it becomes a bit more celebrated in adulthood as opposed to when you're in middle school or high school.
When you just need to look like everybody else.
You just need to fit in. That's all. Yeah. That's all anyone wants. And the other, you notice when people don't fit in, and that's why it's a problem. So
it's weird. Like, you want to fit in so badly for your preteens and teens, and then after you need to stand out.
Yeah, and then you're like, no, I have to be special. Yeah. And I think that's what I meant, is like that insecurity is like, I was totally cool being special for a very long time, and then at some point I was like, oh, okay, I'm standing out a little bit too much here, and that's kind of when that hit. But that wasn't until I was like 19 or 20. Like, that was late. So like I went through most of high school. Okay, maybe grade 12 it kind of started happening a little bit, but like just thinking that like, I'm so cool, everyone probably must like me, and if they don't, they can suck it. And it's not like I was, rude. Like, I don't think it was like a bad necessarily thing when I phrase it that way, but I think my perception, I think it was skewed. Yeah, it was skewed. I think it was good for me at the time. I
think that's great for everybody. You have to believe in yourself.
I know. I wish I still had that perception. Like, it's not like I was ever like, I'm better than you. Like,
it wasn't problematic.
It wasn't that at all. Yeah. No, it was just like, I just wasn't insecure, and I just thought I was awesome. And I still, I'm like, I acknowledge I'm like awesome in some ways, but it's a lot harder to come to that thought process than it was then, I guess.
I get that. I feel that. Like, things just didn't matter as much.
Yeah.
And now there are so many, it's not like voices, like variables or factors that you have to consider.
It's like the sadness of experience kind of makes it, I don't know. It's like when you're learning to drive. Like, it's so much easier at 16 because you don't have a full understanding of the consequences, so it's a lot less scary.
You just go everywhere and you go fast.
Yeah, exactly. You just go fast and you don't think about it. And then like, if you're like trying to learn to drive later on, it can be a lot more, which is a mistake I made. I was like, I hate this. I'm terrified. Like, I could die. This is a huge machine. So many people get into car accidents. I'm going 60 miles an hour. Like, yeah. So it's that lack of brain connection, I guess, for kids. I don't know.
Okay, wait. Now I want to. Oh, shoot.
I know. I feel like I circled in the wrong direction there a little bit.
Okay, you know what? We'll just go with it. Okay, wait. You said something about just like the way you learned, or like your whole math thing about education, and you're teaching now, or you're going to teach now.
I will be. Yes.
Does that your personal experience inform?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially now that I know that I was a child who had, was understimulated, and that made me worse for wear in terms of academic stuff. And also like how, I guess seriously, I started to take stuff at one point. Like, I'm not an anxious person, but I've always been kind of like an anxious kid when it comes to like being on time for stuff. And
oh, I'm sorry. We were so late today.
Wait. No, you're good. Like, okay, I say that now, and now that I think about it, no, I was late all the time as a kid, and I never handed in my homework on time. Like, that was the big issue for me, is that I would never hand in my homework on time, and it was because I would just keep procrastinating and putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. And then it was all this stuff about, like, forgetting your lunch over spring break in your locker, which is really disgusting and bad. But, like, I would do that stuff all the time, and it's like, I know that there's a bad outcome for this. I just can't help myself a little bit. And, like, the disorganization and, like, having trouble paying attention in class when it's really something that you're completely disinterested in.
Yeah.
And, like, not getting distracted and not distracting classmates. Like, that was all kind of stuff I struggled with. And it turns out it's understimulation.
Yeah.
And that, I think, like, learning that helped me, I guess, like, not think of myself as such a lazy person, which was kind of nice, because I always felt
like your self-talk.
Yeah. Like guilty, selfish kind of thing. So having that and, like, you know, being able to, I guess, explain that, well, I guess I'm not going to be diagnosing any children with ADD.
But, like, you can pick up on things.
But I can pick up on things. And then the biggest thing is, like, that now that I'm older, I think that doing stuff wrong is actually really important for learning. So just kind of helping with, like I'm going to do my classroom expectations next week. And one of the big things I want to touch on is mistakes. And I'm like, making mistakes, I want you to make mistakes, because that means you have learned the wrong way to do things. And, like, things like when kids are learning to walk, if you don't let them make mistakes, they're not going to know all the things. Like, if you pull them away from that step that's maybe a little bit too, then they're not going to fall on their butt, and they're not going to learn, like, oh, I should be more careful when walking on this surface because it's a little slippery, or maybe it's a little steep. So this is something I need to be more cautious and aware of. How else are you going to learn? So that's something that, like, mistakes are great. And then also I think I have an appreciation for how kids' brains work a little bit, and especially coming into my early 20s now, for some reason I've had a lot of nostalgia in the past couple of years for my childhood, which is kind of perfect for this little full circle moment for me, because it's like I mean, I guess I'm kind of coming into the age where people used to have babies at my age, which is insane.
It's insane.
Because if you handed me a baby, I'd be like, what do I do with this? Like, I'm not ready. And it's not even out of the normal these days for, like, 23 to get married. And, like, it would be a little on the low end. But I'm like, okay, I'm kind of having the baby fever a little bit, I think, which has been crazy. And also, like, I'm a lesbian. I don't know how that's going to work, you know? But they're cute and they're so weird. And I guess I've kind of had this, like, newfound appreciation for how a lack of experience on your brain actually, like, just makes you so much more unique and original, because it's, like, fresh. They're experiencing everything for the first time. And there's no... It's like
innocence.
And it's at the age where they haven't been, like, cookie cuttered yet, you know? Like, there's no... I mean, of course, there's some influence on them, but there's not that much influence on, like, making... So it's just them. Like, it's just pure, unfiltered kid brain. And I think that's really special and kind of underappreciated, actually. And I kind of remember thinking that when I was 12. I was like, wow, my brain is so cool. I should, like, interview myself. Or, like... I think people should talk to 12-year-olds more.
Thing to think.
That is a 12-year-old. I know, you really think you're the best when you're 12, right? But yeah,
no. Beautiful.
I just they're so weird. Like, I just like that they're so weird. I worked with a lot of kids in dental, and, like, some of the stories and, like, just the conversations you have with them are so surprising, and
so raw.
They're so raw. It's so cool though. But yeah, no, I love kids. I'm very excited to be an after-school teacher.
You just mentioned that you do dental work, and you're also teaching. What do you do?
So yeah, not at the same time. It's kind of I've fallen into a lot of things accidentally in my life at this point. I will say, and I've said this at several interviews, and I think it helps me do good on job interviews, to be honest. I feel like I'm someone who could be really happy doing a lot of different things. Like I feel like there's so many different, like, careers that I would actually probably do pretty good at and be interesting in. And it really just depends on like the people you have around me. I was like, I could do the worst job in the world if I liked my coworkers. Like I would be a sanitation, like cleaning out the inside of the pipes where all the things go. If I was with that would be so fun. I'd just like chat with my friends all day. So yeah, I feel like I'm someone who is kind of attracted to a lot of different career types and positions, and can kind of slot myself in. And I'm also like a quick learner, and that kind of stuff always helps. So I'd been, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do after high school. My mom had kind of pointed me in the direction of trades because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And women can make a lot of money in trades because there's no women in trades. And that means the companies are like kind of desperate for diversity hires
too. Hire.
So like you're definitely going to get a job if you're a woman and you enter the trades industry, regardless of like what type of industry it is, really. Just because the ratio is, I mean, when I went to, so I ended up going to trade school. There was a program at a local college, and it was female only, which was kind of nice, actually. Oh. I didn't care originally, but I kind of saw the benefit of it. Mostly because we actually got like specific talking to from female instructors on their experience as women in the trades, which is not a very good experience usually. So, but it was really interesting to kind of have that conversation through that lens. But yeah, so it was a, I think 7-9 month program maybe. And
was there a reason you chose it? Just like because you could get a job? Or?
Yeah, it was because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then I was also like, I like working with my hands. And like, again, I'm someone who I feel like I could be pretty happy in most directions. So it's kind of like a why not? It wasn't really that I was particularly drawn to trades, because I definitely wasn't. Parts of it appealed to me. I'm like, yeah, like being a little boss lady in my little coveralls, and like, yeah, I got a hammer, I got a, all this stuff. And then I think my kind of thought process was like, oh, I can eventually open my own company in whatever kind of trade that I want to do. So it was a program that does kind of like a brief introduction to most of the main trades. So like we had a week on, carpentry, where we made just like a little shed frame. There was joinery, which was actually my favorite. Anyway, long story short, it was a fun program. I learned a lot. I also learned that I do not want to put up with the sexism in trades. I did a little, I had a practicum at the end of my semester at a forklift company.
Okay.
You'd think that they wouldn't sexually harass the student there on practicum.
Not from the student too.
And I was like 17. I'm not even or maybe 18, but I'm just like a baby, And yeah, I had a couple unfortunate experiences there. So I was kind of like, I have so much respect for women who do this. It's not for me. I don't personally want to. And also, like, I didn't care enough about trades to fight that. Like, if it was something that I was super passionate about, that would be different, I think. But no, like, it was fun. I liked it okay, but it wasn't my calling, I guess. And I to be honest, I like hands-on work, but I also do like talking to people a lot. And I think I'm always kind of going to want a profession that's more people-focused. So yeah, I'd done the trades program, and then I was working at a bakery and still kind of trying to figure out, like, I was thinking heavy duty mechanics. So I was like, okay, let's see what kind of, places are around here that might be able to offer like doing an apprenticeship or something. And I hadn't gotten my driver's license. So I was waiting. I still haven't. Don't tell them.
It's okay.
We're working on it.
Everything is a work in progress.
Thank you. And that was like the biggest barrier. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to obviously get a job anywhere if I don't have that. So I'd been kind of looking for jobs in the interim. And I came across a job posting.
Board.
I came across a job posting board. And there was an opportunity, and it was like, get paid to train how to become a dental administrator. And I had never thought about dental before. I go to the dentist. I liked my dentist. And I think it was because I'd been looking at reception jobs, and I'd kind of thought dental because I remembered the receptionist from my dental place, and they were always so happy. And they were like very like in touch, like they, conversationalists, and they were like funny, and they'd make me laugh, and like they were just nice. And I was like, that seems like it could be kind of like a nice thing to do. So I was looking into reception jobs, and that one popped up. I was like, whoa, paid training opportunity.
Paid training is great.
I know. And it was like $18 an hour, which is great for at the time. And it said like no experience required. Like we are looking for people with personalities that we can train to do this well. And I was like, give it a shot. But no, I went to the interview. It was a fancy building. It was a big head office. And during the interview, they actually asked, they're like, how do you like hands-on work? Because I had applied for essentially a receptionist training program. And I was like, oh, well, like I do love hands-on work. That's fun. And then she was saying, well, there's also a chairside assistant program that we're also running. And that one is more hands-on. That's the person who assists the dentist during different medical procedures. And I was like, yeah, like that sounds way more fun. Are you kidding me? I mean, reception is cool, but getting to like actually do medical stuff was obviously a lot more appealing to me. And yeah, they really liked me. I actually ended up getting offered into both programs and chose the chairside assistant one. And I did a practicum, and then I ended up getting hired at the clinic where I did my practicum, and it was good for a while. And I did like dental assisting a lot. It's a pretty rewarding job in a lot of ways, because I guess the stakes are a little bit higher, because a lot of the times it's like people who are in pain or people who are scared. So when you're able to like relieve that, it is very rewarding feeling. So yeah, I started doing my prerequisites to apply to hygiene school here. So I ended up quitting dental assisting just because it's hard to keep that with a school schedule, since dental hours are usually like 9 to 5 and school is
9 to 5.
Yeah. And also like you are locked into like 8-hour shifts for sure in dental. There's other jobs where it can be closer to like, you know, like a quick 4 or 5 hour, which is a lot more accommodating for school schedules as well as in the evening. So yeah, I'd quit dental, and then I was looking around for another part-time job while I was in school and managed to get in at a brewery for a little bit, and then found out that the serving life is not for me. It's
kind of nice. I love that you're trying all these things and exploring.
I do. Yeah. I do feel like I've kind of gone down a lot of avenues already for someone my age, which feels a little bit weird, because in some ways I always feel like I'm behind a little bit, even though
I feel behind too.
I know. And I'm like, wait, Sarah, you're 23. It's okay.
Yeah.
And it's like the time will pass anyway. You may as well just...
Yeah, you'll try it all.
Yeah, and like I that's my excuse whenever I'm like, but if I do all my prerequisites, it's going to take like 3 years. Yeah. And it's like, well, 3 years are going to pass anyway. Wouldn't I rather have done this and be ready than not have experienced that, I guess. So yeah, that's where I'm at now. The serving is warfare. It's a trench out there. I think it requires a specific personality, and then I was also having some issues with, or not like issues, but I didn't fit in with coworkers very well there, and that makes it hard, especially when it's like a very group work, teamwork environment where you're very much relying on other people. So yeah, I quit that and started looking for something else, and unfortunately, I was a little too far into summer, so the summer hiring wave was over. So I was jobless. I was just kind of hanging at home for 2-3 months this summer. But then luckily, towards the end of August, I applied at a few places and got 2 interviews right away.
It's really just timing.
And got offered both of them, and then had to make a choice.
That must have felt amazing too.
It did. I tried to take both of them, and I was like, oh, this probably isn't going to work with my schedule. And then the one that I'd been talking with, he was kind of saying like, we're hoping with someone with more hours. And I'm like, I understand that. I don't think I can offer that. And then, so the other job I got, or the one that I ended up taking, I applied as an after-school teacher, which I didn't think
was a possibility.
Yeah, I don't have early childhood education or any of that. I mean, I have experience working with kids, and I'd grown up babysitting, and I did like stage managing in high school, so I've had a lot of organizational kind of management sort of experience with groups of younger people. Just not on paper. And I mean, I was honest with them during the interview. I was like, I haven't, taken care of a large group of children. I've taken care of small groups of children. I've taken care of large groups of teenagers, just not large groups of children. And I was very honest in the interview, and I said, but I know I can do it. And they liked that. So yeah, it turns out for developmental programs, you don't need, obviously criminal background check, and, they checked my references and talked to me lots and all that, got to know me first. It's not like they're just hiring anyone, to be clear. But yeah, it wasn't in terms of the certification, it was a lot less than I thought it would have to be. And I think, again, I kind of lucked out. I think I do interview well, thankfully.
You seem like a good interviewee.
Thank you. You seem like a good interviewer. And I got along really well with the ladies, and I'm so excited because I like I was saying earlier, I went to boys and girls and after school clubs when I was a kid. And one of the things that I'd wanted to do was come back and be one of the leaders. And I didn't think I was going to get to do that because I was like, no, okay, I'm doing dental now. Like, that's not really going to be an option for me, anything like working with children. So having this and then having it be, just a couple of days a week after I'm done my classes, because it's after school, and it's stuff that I'm really passionate about. So like one of them is public speaking, which is something I really struggled with in middle school. And it was something that I kind of overcame later in high school when I kind of started putting myself out more. I think the reason I dyed my hair and cut it short in high school, honestly, was just like exposure therapy. It made me more confident because people look at you. Obviously,
I don't
if you
know
look
if
like
I
a
could
troll
handle
doll,
that. Yeah.
People are going to look at you and notice you. And I think that actually helped so much in terms of confidence and like me not being shy. So like I'm coming at it from a perspective of like, yes, this is something I struggled with, and like that confidence and leadership. So being able to like come back and like help kids with that is so exciting for me. Like the courses I'm on, a lot of it is focused about empathy and kindness. And if I heard myself say these words as an elementary schooler, I would throw up because they're so woo-woo, and it's like, yeah, let's be nice to everyone. But no, as an adult, especially now that I pay attention to like the political climate, that kind of stuff is so important to me, and I don't think it's taught enough anymore or valued. Like, when did kindness become a sign of naiveness? Yeah, when did it become a sign of that as opposed to a good thing that people look up to? Like, if you look at history, the people who were viewed sometimes as richest in society were the ones who like gave away the most. Like, it was like, haha, I'm giving you this big gold thing because I'm so rich, look how rich I am. But like the richness part is the giving it away. And I'm like, when did we stop valuing that? Because I would like those to be valued things again. Bring it back. Kindness is cool, y'all.
I love your perspective on it all too. Like, it's not set in stone of like,
no,
I'm just gonna do this, but it's like, oh, I could do this and I could do this. And there's so much hope and like ambition and like excitement. I feel like people aren't excited about stuff
I
as
love
much.
learning things. Like, there's so many, I don't know, like learning how things work, and like the more jobs I can do and the more experiences I have around that, it's always like really interesting to me, and I get something out of it. Like, even just, I was just driving down the highway not too long ago, and I was thinking they're installing all these plumbings and pipes and stuff, and I'm like, how does that work? Like,
could do that.
Well, yeah, like it sounds interesting though. Like, I want to learn more about, like, I wonder how they found the type of material that is strong enough to carry, like, what is this actually transporting? Why is it plastic? How does this happen? And it's like all the kind of stuff you learn when you start a new job or position. Like, even just serving for a couple of months completely like changed my perspective on it a little bit, because now when I go to restaurants, I'm like, oh, these flight things are so well designed. I wish my place had these flight holders because they were so wobbly, and I always almost spilled people's drinks. So I'm like, those are things that I notice, are like, oh, they have a really nice kitchen design that's really easy on the servers for dropping off things. And like, if I could have that special knowledge with everything, that's like the dream there. I love
to know everything.
I just love being a know-it-all, I guess. Yeah.
So depression.
Yeah. I have mental health issues. Let's talk about that. Or have had.
Yeah.
That's a good segue. Okay,
me as
perfect
well.
segue.
Do you want to start, or should I start?
Yeah, do you want to start? I haven't talked to you. I know that
what do you know about me?
I thought that you were maybe closeted in high school, and then I was really happy
we're
when
going
you
in
came
a different
out.
direction
No,
now.
I know. I'm like, now that I'm thinking, well, you start talking about mental health shit, and I'm like, wait, that was recent, and I was so happy for Josh when he announced it.
Did I announce it?
Not really, but
you know.
I knew, and then at some point, I think you maybe shared like, what was it, like a what are those called when you like sneakily reveal your partner without?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, yay, he's comfortable. Yay. I was so happy.
Thank you.
I don't know. Like, at some point, I just, like, saw, like, the first thing where, like, it wasn't, like, he obviously didn't do a coming out post or anything, but it was the first
confirmation.
Evidence. And I was like, he's posting. Yay. But, yeah.
Well, I guess on that note, then, you were one of the very first person that I knew that was openly queer. And at the age of, like, 13, 14, that was, like, radical.
That's still, like, crazy for me to hear. Because it didn't feel radical for me. And this comes from a place of privilege. And I, like, completely recognize that. And that, like, our community was really accepting of it. And, like, I don't think I've ever really been targeted because of my sexuality. And definitely, like, not at the high school. And I will say it's also way easier for gay women than gay men, especially in high school, because there's so much going on with men and their masculinity and how they feel about that in terms of like that insecurity that, you know, women don't have the same way really, and also just that society is more tolerant of women on women relationships, I guess, because they're like, it's sexy and that's kind of gross, but it also, yeah, I will say that, like, women, I think, have it easier for sure. So, yeah, I was lucky in that we live in a community where I've never really experienced any, hate or harm because of that. And that, like, my parents were, I mean, my coming out story with my mom was pretty funny, actually. So I'd always been like, I'm an ally. Like, I didn't know. I had no clue. It was kind of a shock to me when I realized that I was attracted to a woman, basically, or a girl. I mean, I was 13. So I just kept seeing this girl in the hallways, and I was like, I really want to be friends with her. And then I was like, why do I keep thinking, like, why do I want to be friends with this? And then at some point, I was walking home, and I actually know the exact spot where the realization hit me. It's right by the bus stop over there. And I was like, oh, it's not Friends, is it? And then I was like, oh my God, this is a crush. Then I was like, oh my God, I have a crush on a woman. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And then I kind of sat on that for a couple days maybe and, you know, thought it through. And then I talked to my mom.
Do you know how old you were?
I was in grade 9. This was very early in grade 9.
I think I actually remember this too. I don't know if this was like...
I know that you were in my visual arts class.
It was in that class.
Sure. Yeah.
And one day you came to class and you were like, guys, I think I'm bi.
Really? That's so interesting. Like that you remember that. Because, yeah, it was...
That was huge. That was mind-boggling.
I guess. Like, looking back, and my memory's so bad now, too. Like, it's like a goldfish. And it doesn't feel as significant for me now, of course. We touched on this earlier, but, like, I had this weird shield of invincibility around my brain where I could do no wrong, you know? Like, I just wasn't concerned about what other people thought of me. And I wish I still had that, because it's a great feeling to just not care what anyone thinks. So yeah, it was an exciting thing at, you know, initially, like when you, especially at that age, like to find out that you are kind of special and unique in a way was cool. And it's never been like, I guess when I first found out that I was, you know, and now I identify as lesbian, not bisexual, but at the time I identified as bisexual. Like aside from that, like first initial specialness, I never have been someone who blows or like makes that the first thing people know about me, or like, and that was never my intention. I think that happened in high school, but that's just because I had bright blue shaved hair and you don't really have a choice. But it actually like kind of upset me to see sometimes like there was an issue that I had with the LGBT community specifically, like where people were making jokes about like hating straight guys, and like I get it, like I definitely get it. I know that that's usually the group, like the demographic that makes it hardest on LGBT people, or just like it's usually white straight dudes. Like, however, fighting fire with fire like that doesn't help anything and actually alienates people to your cause, and it kind of pissed me off. And then there was stuff that was happening where like I was dating a person at the time who was non-binary, but then was posting all this stuff on Tumblr and like about like I hate cis people, and I'm like, dog, I'm cisgender, like, and it's again like it's like I know that and it's not like I haven't felt this way. It would be so much easier to be straight. Like, no offense to men, but it's just like it's easy, I guess. I don't know. And there's like, you know, more people you can date. It opens up your options so much, and it's just like it's what you see on TV. Like, it's the norm. Of course, it would be so much easier to just be that. So I think it's, especially when you're at that age, you're so kind of like emotionally volatile. It's really easy to just turn that into like, I hate this group that I'm not, because, you know, they have privileges that I don't have, and I wish I could just, you know, be as free as that and not have to worry about it, but I don't, and that sucks. And I totally get the resentment that can come from that, but I'm like, it's not helping anything, and it's actually making it worse, and I don't agree with hating people. Yeah. So I kind of ended up leaving, and it's not like they were being awful or anything, they weren't, it just wasn't, I'm just not that obsessed with it, I guess. Like, it's a part of my identity.
Specifically, yeah.
And
it's not your whole identity.
Yeah. And it's definitely become, I think, more important to me actually in the recent years because of how much homophobia and transphobia has come up in the last couple of years. And it's honestly the first time where I've actually like realized the importance of having LGBT flags and stuff on you and like in your area. Because I always just thought, because there was never a need for it as far as I was concerned, because I was like, well, I'm fine. Like, I'm not being, you know, ostracized or discriminated against at all for my sexuality, and everyone's hunky-dory and stuff. So I'm like, why should I make it my personality? Like, why should I have a pin? Why should I do all this stuff? And then realizing the importance of what representation actually means to people, and especially now that there is a lot more hatred towards this community, it's something that I've kind of flipped my position on. And I'm like, no, I actually think like having those little signs that say like everyone is welcome here, like that's actually so important to have in places. And especially after having this experience where I had someone in high school tell me like, one of the reasons I was able to come out and be more comfortable coming out was because you were out. And I didn't even realize that was a thing that I could have an impact on. Like, I didn't even realize that me just being out and being myself was something that would ever have any sort of impact on anything. So to hear that and then be like, oh, I see why this is important a little bit, because it's for all the people who aren't comfortable being out, and all the people who do need to know that this space is like extra inclusionary, like, because you don't know these days. So it's gotten worse, and I think that's why I'm more on the like, yeah, I'll paint a rainbow flag. Like, I think it's important these days. So yeah, that's been kind of like an interesting flip-flop for me, for being like, yeah, bisexual, and then switching to like, I don't want to be super associated with all these people who are like the stereotype of like Tumblr loving. Like, I didn't really want to be part of that stereotype a little bit, and then flip-flopping and being like, I see why there is a need for us to be talking about this and having representation and like consistently, you know, expressing that we are open to all people. And I'm like, okay, I get it. I would put a flag on my backpack now, and I wouldn't have 5 years ago, which is like not even a huge thing, but yeah.
How do you feel about that? Like, I totally agree with the majority, like almost all. I think all your.
I was like, okay, let's fight.
But for me, I think what I also think about is like my own safety too.
Yeah, no.
But
of
then
course.
Acknowledging that there is representation, and that, you know, there's like intersectionality with your identity. Like, I'm gay, but I'm also a man, and so like in some ways, like I have more privilege in the sense that like maybe I should put a pin on my bag,
right?
But then at the same time,
and like
I might be more at risk.
And for me, like, especially now that I'm comfortable with myself as an adult, like I would be comfortable standing up to someone if they had an issue with something like that. And because I am in that position, and also I have a position of privilege where I'm, you know, a white woman in a like middle class family, you know, like I have support and stuff around me. So like I know that I'm actually in a position to do that. And I think it's a little bit of a responsibility at some point to be strong for the people who are not able to come out. And then, yeah, like hearing from people who are like, I host a couple online communities for like teenagers and young adults, and like hearing from people who are stuck in the closet, like how important it is for them to see representation on TV, and just like know that there are ways that you can exist in this world. And that's what it is. Like, that's what representation is to me, is like, oh, I can fit into this. And not necessarily something I'd seen before. Like, I didn't, and this isn't on LGBT stuff, but this is on like gender. Like, I really wanted to be a boy for like a very long time when I was a kid, actually. And it was just because it sounded more fun. Like, I was never into Barbies really, or Bratz or any of that kind of stuff. And, you know, the boys' toys were like the cool, like, army soldier bases. And I'm like, that's way more interesting to me for whatever reason. So, and that only changed when the first Hunger Games movie released. Because I finally had an example of like a badass woman who isn't, like, she's kind of more of a tomboy character, but and that's just the way she's allowed to be. And I was like, whoa, that was like my first like impressionable, strong female character for little baby middle schooler Sarah. And then that was like when I kind of started feeling comfortable existing in the world as a woman, because I saw that there was a way for women to exist and not have to be all those things, and that it was okay, and that she's the hero of the movie, and it's like celebrated, and she's not super happy. Like, she's not like a bouncy go lucky girl. She's like kind of edgy and like, and I guess I related to that more than I would, you know? So yeah, I understand like it's so important, because it wasn't like I just never realized that I could exist like that. It wasn't that no one had told me I couldn't. I just didn't know that was an option. So to like see it and like realize, oh, I can do that too,
for sure,
was like so huge. And then it extends to like LGBT stuff. Like you see, you know, like we have like bisexual detectives on TV and stuff, and like it's important. And I'm like, oh wow, look at this cool badass person who's also embracing her sexuality, and then also being a cool character that I look up to on television. Yeah. So it's so important, I think. And it took me a little bit to understand why, I guess. And yeah.
I think that's crazy too, that you were, I think for me too, you were like that form of representation,
which is
me.
Still so crazy to me, because like it just wasn't a big deal for me. I was just living my life, like that's all it was for me, and I didn't actually realize that like there was kind of some power in that a little bit. And I kind of wish I'd taken it a little bit more seriously, maybe.
I think it actually was good the way that you did,
that it was so
that is who
normal.
I was. And you were like, I remember you being like a little anxious about it, because you're like, guys,
initially,
but you were also secure in yourself, and you sounded confident.
Oh, thanks.
I do vividly remember all of that.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Because it's like what, like, God, like 9-10 years at this point. Because that's like 2014. Ago. Oh my gosh, dude, have I been out for a decade? That's crazy. Yeah.
But yeah, that was like the first. I was like, huh.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't even think that was a young like age predictor.
That's crazy.
But I guess
like
it kind of
14,
is, actually.
But that also makes sense.
Yeah. And I also I never really had crushes as a kid too, so it just like I think I asked my mom not too long ago. I was like, "Did you have any suspicions?" And she's like, "You didn't really talk about anyone." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So, yeah, that was it. Easy.
Did it ever have an impact on your mental health?
LGBT stuff. Yeah, a little bit actually, just because not as much with the lesbianism, but more on like the side of I wish I kind of was more normal, and like I wish it was easier for me. And then also just like that I'm someone who really struggles with like experiencing attraction. Like I don't think I'm asexual, but I think I'm probably on some sort of spectrum there. Well, I know I'm not asexual, but I'm not quite normal either, you know? It's a little, my attraction is super limited. So like struggling with that, and like not having really very many crushes on people, and then being like, I'm not going to find someone. And it's even harder because I'm a lesbian, and my circle is even smaller. And now I have this extra thing where like I'm really don't get that many crushes. So like that was pretty isolating. And that's just something that I got over. I was like, whatever. Like, I can,
It'll
if
happen.
And like, it doesn't matter if it doesn't happen. Like, I'm just chilling. I'm
just
fine.
living your life.
But yeah, no, like, I mean, mental health is something that I've struggled with a lot. I don't think too much of it, thankfully, is like sexuality related. Just because, again, I'm lucky to have really supportive parents and live in an area where we don't really have any homophobia or like direct attacks, really. So I gave you your segue to ask about mental health.
So depression.
I think you have to keep that.
I think
legally.
I do. Well, I got it. Do you got it?
I got it. Depression? Hell yeah. Do you
tell me more.
Okay. So, yeah. So after graduating high school,
I love that you're just going with it.
Yeah, that's the whole story. Yeah. So I wasn't making plans with friends because I didn't know how to do that, and I was feeling pretty isolated and working kind of a dead-end bakery job, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I was, again, really bad at making plans, and I was like, everyone hates me. I just thought that they only pretended to like me in high school, and no one's reaching out.
In your head. You spiral.
No, and also, like, it's a two-way street. Like, you gotta reach out, too. You can't just expect people
blame everybody else.
Yeah, it's like complaining, like, no one threw me a birthday party, and I'm like...
You can throw your own birthday
party. Yeah, like,
party.
most people throw their own birthday parties. Very rarely do you get one thrown for you. Like, that's just how the world is, man. So yeah, I started struggling a little bit then. And then luckily I started the trades program and I was doing okay. And then late 2020, COVID was really hard. And I kind of just felt like I'd found like a little bit of a friend group at that school. And then COVID hit and we couldn't hang out. And then that ended up not actually lasting because 2 of them ended up being anti-vaxxers. So I was like, I will not hang out with you now because I have, immunocompromised people. And this is early COVID when stuff is really, like serious.
You don't know what's happening.
Yeah. And like people are dying. So yeah. And then after the trades program ended, COVID happened and that group kind of split. And I'd made a really close friend from that group and we had been like texting constantly and everything was cool. And then I kind of started getting depressed. Like I just wasn't, like I lost energy. I kind of started to like not enjoy stuff. I was more anxious. Like I think like things kind of opened up a little bit maybe. And then, or maybe this was before, my timeline's a little messed up, but like I had been hosting parties and stuff. Okay, this would have to be before COVID because I'm too paranoid to break the law. But like I was getting anxious for stuff. I'd be like, oh, I have to like clean my house before people get over here. And like, I don't have that much time. And I just like, I don't want to do it right now. Like, I just don't have the energy. And I'd been talking with this best friend and like, we'd been like, I kind of shared that I was struggling a little bit and she made it worse because we're not friends anymore. The first thing she did when she came to my house for a visit is she's like, spiderweb there. And was like making fun of it because... And I'm like, dude, I just need you to be nice to me right now. Mm-hmm. And I think it was just that our whole relationship was like, like light, playful, like making fun of each other, which is great. I have that with all of my friends, except there wasn't anything else apparently. So like when I actually needed the help, she couldn't do it, which sucked because I'd helped her through like a lot. Sorry, a little mini rant there. But yeah, and then I kind of just stopped texting and then she never like tried, even though she knew I was like super depressed, and that was depressing. And then I kind of ended up like cutting ties with that group, and I was having vertigo actually, and then I ended up going to the doctor, and then we kind of touched on a couple other things at the same time, and that's when I got started on antidepressants for the first time. I'd been struggling, like I'd been starting self-harm. And it was small things. Like I'm never like, I guess like I kind of, it's probably a bad thing is that I knew enough about self-harm to do it in a smart way, because I know that like, I know that the pain actually causes an endorphin response, and that's why people can continue to do it, is because it actually gets a little bit addicting when you have that repeat endorphin response, and it gets hard. Like people have trouble stop self-harming. Like I know that's a thing, and my mom works in mental health and was obviously like very cognizant of that with me as well. So I had I just use rubber bands or something. Like, it would be things that wouldn't actually leave damage, but I was aware that I was doing it and that I was like in enough pain to be wanting to cause myself pain to like separate from it and like ground myself a little bit. And I was like, that is an issue. And like not enjoying things, like it's like when you are having a bad day and you're like, oh, I should do one of my favorite things, and then it just does nothing for you and it feels even worse.
It does feel,
and
yeah.
I was like, wow, what the hell? And then yeah, it just kind of the medication helped, thankfully. Like it just kind of evened things out, and then at some point it was never specifically situational depression for me. I think I always just kind of realized it was like a mental imbalance kind of thing. Like, I mean, there's reasons for me to be sad, and I've been more sad, but at some point, like in 2020, 2021, I was doing okay. Like, I was, making plans with friends and doing all this stuff, and I had a job, and I was still just gray. Like, it's just like going through the day without really feeling anything. Or like really feeling like you're physically like present or in the moment. It's just like being detached a little bit. And I was like, yeah, I should get some help. And I did. And so, yeah, I've been medicated since 19. And there's always ups and downs. And unfortunately, like this summer was the worst I've been. And I'm on and up now, which is good because this would be a really depressing interview if I wasn't. But yeah, no, it's I mean, it's tricky. It's and also just like the idea of me even starting antidepressants, I was so against it when I was 19 at first, because it's like first of all, I don't want to like feel like I need help. Like admitting that you have a problem is kind of, it's hard.
Yeah.
And then also just like, I don't want to rely on it.
That was my big thing.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
But then now I'm like, no, that's stupid, because I'm actually like, the way I view it is that I actually have a deficiency. Like I am I'm not keeping enough serotonin in my brain. Like my brain is like, you don't need all this. This is excess. Let's get rid of it. And that's how I view it now. So I'm like, no, this is me filling something that I have a deficiency in. Just the same way, like I have an iron deficiency and I take iron pills. Mm-hmm. I take SSRIs, which force my body to it's called serotonin reuptake. Mm-hmm. So it actually like makes your brain discard less, because it's like, again, it's that excess. It's like, oh, we don't need all this serotonin, and it's like, actually we're gonna reuptake it, thank you very much. And yeah, it runs in the family. Like I kind of expected it, and I know that, if I ever have children, postpartum is going to be something that I should definitely look out for. And it's something that I monitor, and it's, I do my daily mood things, and it is what it is,
Did you know about it growing up then? Like if it was a family, like your parents have it?
No, it's not something my mom would have talked to me about, I don't think. And it was only really like something that came up when it was relevant.
I guess that makes sense. You wouldn't just like trauma dump on your child. Yeah,
exactly. Like I struggled in grade 6 a little bit because it was new school and that kind of stuff. So I was a little depressed for a bit in grade 6. And I think she probably would have mentioned that like it was something that she had struggled with a lot too. And then obviously like the level of detail increased as I got older, because it's not a fun subject, and then it turns out like my mom had an attempt when she was my age, and obviously that's not something you want to talk about with your 11-year-old, so that came up a little later. And I was, again, rough summer, so I was like, oh, great age. Hey, Mom. And yeah,
it's encouraging to hear you're on the up.
Yeah, for me too.
How do you feel like about the future, I guess, or like just navigating this and having this in your life?
I think I've gotten like a little bit of a brain level up again. I used to feel them a lot more when I was in high school, but it's like literally like, oh, I feel more responsible now. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how else to yeah, I'm like, wow, I can do the dishwasher now without complaining about it to myself. This is so weird. And honestly, like ADD medication does that. Like I just do things without thinking about them, and I can lock in. It's amazing. So like having things kind of like work out and go on track, and like I have a rough plan here. Like I'm doing my school, this is my goal, this is my thing. And then also just like starting to have a better perspective of myself again. And like, it's okay to be stagnant sometimes. It's okay to not do anything. That's an okay way to be as well. You don't have to be, doing amazing things 24/7 to have the right to exist, which is kind of where I think my headspace was, is like, oh, if I'm not doing cool stuff and showing people, what's the point, I guess. So yeah, just like being okay with being silly goofy, or like not being, super, just being okay with myself again.
You don't always have to be on the up.
Yeah. You don't have to be on the up. It's okay to just be meh.
Yeah.
And yeah, like sometimes, most of my little day chart, I'm still hitting neutral most of the time for the day, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. So I think it was just like all the good things and kind of coming to terms with that. And then, I feel like I am in a much better place for the future. Like I feel like I'm just like more capable of handling things, and I have a better method of like organizing and like prioritizing. I think reading some of the curriculum for my classes probably helped, because some of it is like how to be a leader. It's like, one of the main skills they teach is do the things that need to be done first. Like, that's a big thing, is like, do the hard things first and then do the fun things last. And like, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like, vacuum first and then play games, or do this and then read, or homework and it should be obvious, but it isn't always, and stuff like that just kind of keeps pushing me in a healthier direction, I guess. And then, I'm lucky to have a really great support system, and my doctor is fantastic and is really good when it comes to mental health stuff and just like taking my concerns seriously. And my mom is amazing. Like, probably the best person. I haven't met any of my friends who have as great a relationship with their parents as I do with my mother yet. And I do brag about it. She's very cool. So I'm very, I feel so lucky to have her.
That's really sweet.
She's the best.
Aww.
Love you, Mom. Shout out Margot.
So you feel good about the future?
I do.
Do you see yourself in Coquitlam? Or
Yeah.
the Tri-Cities?
I like this area. I will say, if it was a little bit cheaper, that would make me a lot more likely to hang out here forever. We'll have to see how much money I make in the future, I guess.
Dental hygiene, little side hustle in the evening.
Little side hustle. No, I do like this area, and I like the people that I've met here, and I like our local government is good, and the infrastructure is decent now that we have every like SkyTrain and everything here, and I like Coquitlam. It's nice. I got friends here.
Oh.
I think I kind of got my roots. It took a very long time, but I do feel like this is my home, and I don't think any other place really feels like that anymore at this point. This is the longest place I've lived, so.
That's so nice. Well, I guess that's a wrap. Thank you so much for this
such
time.
A fun conversation.
We haven't
so long.
spoken.
You're gonna have to
like
edit.
8 years.
I know. Can we hang out?
I guess so.
Josh, will you hang out with me after this?
Maybe.
Like, not in a podcast setting.
It will always be a podcast. Today's episode featured Sarah Nelson. Special thanks to Sebi Sarani. Music composed by Rachel Jiang. Produced with the support of TELUS STORYHIVE. I'm Joshua Louie, and this is The Burbs.